I was able to read one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 books. 8 books because I started a daily habit of reading. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my experience because maybe you are interested in reading a little more and maybe you can get something out of my time. So I would say, how do you read more? Grace and a routine. Grace with yourself because when you're starting a new habit, it's a new habit. So it's your the idea is to get to a point where you're doing it every day, which means that there might be some hiccups along the way, and that's okay. So be gracious with yourself and a routine. Figuring out a way to put it inside of your day so that it doesn't seem like another thing as much as it seems like a part of your actual day. So how did I do that? I actually did the read 21 and 21 challenge, reading 21 minutes per day, every day. So this was more like slow reading rather than speed reading. And because it was only 21 minutes, it wasn't a lot. It didn't feel like a lot. And I figured out a way to put it into my day. Like there's research about combining things. Like if you want to start another habit, then you pair it with something that you already do. So I looked for a way to do that. I like to do my heavy lifting before 2 p.m. So what does that mean? All of the challenging things, I like to do it at the top of the day and have the rest of the day to enjoy life, if at all possible, right? If at all possible. So for me, the reading came along with definitely before 2 p.m. And in that pairing idea, I paired it with something else. So maybe my 21 minutes came in as I was drinking my morning cup of tea or eating breakfast, right? Pairing it with something that I was already doing. And life be life in, like, let's be clear, life be life in. And to be super honest, I actually started this habit during the pandemic. So my day was already different than what it usually is. And that was the beauty in starting this reading habit because it gave me some consistency during a time where things just seemed like completely crazy, right? So reading daily gave me a level of control, a level of consistency when I felt like I didn't have as much control, but it also gave me confidence, inspiration, and motivation because as I'm reading these books, I'm finding that my discussions with people are changing because I'm pulling from what I read in the book, right? So it's changing, it's allowing for different topics to come up in discussion. It's also increasing the content in my classes. I'm a dance educator, and during the pandemic, I wasn't in the studio the same kind of way because it was a pandemic. And I wanted a way to still feel like I was doing something and to be able to come back into class stronger and better than I was when I left the class. Reading definitely did this for me because of the content. Like, I'm learning so much more. The first book I read was Dance Pedagogy for a Diverse World. So already it's talking about curriculum development and curriculum changes. So already I'm beginning to look at my curriculum in a different kind of way and my lessons in a different kind of way, my engagement in a different kind of way. So it just like shook up. It just shook up the curriculum. It shook up the way that I was teaching my courses. It changed the way that I was asking questions and what questions that I was asking and so forth. So certainly the benefits include things like knowledge, but another benefit that I found was in those challenging days. So in the challenging days when I didn't get to read, didn't get my reading in before that 2 p.m. clock, it's like, well, how am I going to do it? I don't have the patience. I didn't have the patience to sit down. So I found myself like breaking it up. So maybe I would do 6 minutes at this point, and then maybe the last 15 minutes before I closed my eyes, I read the book. And that was super amazing because I realized I was sleeping better when I went to sleep, when reading was the last thing I did before I went to sleep. Now, I am somebody that has in the past fallen asleep with the phone in my hand because I'm scrolling, or just like falling asleep, binge watching something. So I replaced that habit with reading, and I read better. So that's like, I feel like is a not so obvious benefit of picking up a reading habit, was the fact that I was sleeping better, right? So I have this, I'm giving myself consistency. I'm giving myself this gift of additional knowledge. I'm also giving it to my students because I'm coming back into the classroom with this new content, and I'm sleeping better. Like, overall, the daily reading is like, it's where it's at, for lack of a better way of explaining it. So I started this reading challenge during that pandemic. So the Read 21 and 21 challenge started at the beginning of the year, around the end of January of 21, and read the 8 books. And then I was kind of like, yo, it's the end of the year, and what do I do? Like, it's not going to be 21 no more. So 21 doesn't seem like a number to keep. So what am I going to do? And I decided to up the stakes. I decided to read 23 minutes. So 23 minutes per day, every day, was what I said. Once again, offering myself grace, right? And in that span, I was able to read 15 books. So I'm like, 8 books for this, for 1 year, for one challenge, 15 books for another challenge, 23 books later. And this is not including, I do some audiobooks, so this is not including that. But just feeling really invigorated, inspired, and motivated, able to have these new types of conversations. And then, like, the crazy thing, this like amazing thing happened. I was at this conference at Duke University, and there were authors there. So like, I'm completely like fangirling, like, oh my gosh, this author, the author of this book was there. The author of several of the several, because this is a book that contains like several essays. There were several people from this book there. The author from this book was there. So it was dope to be able to, it was amazing to be able to ask them questions, right? And like speak to their scholarship. And one of the other books that I read during the 23 challenge, that author was there and he actually signed my new book. So having been able to talk to them about their book and ask questions, like, completely amazing. So give yourself this gift of reading daily and be gracious with yourself. Be gracious with yourself and figure out a way to make it a part of your routine. So whether that's writing, whether that's pairing it with something that you already do, or if you need to literally write it in your schedule, the schedule on your phone, the schedule on your wall. But I guarantee you that it will, it's going to change your life. It's going to make things different, because you're going to begin to see things different, because you're reading books about, even if it's just on one topic, but you're hearing voices from other people and other people's thoughts. So it's going to open your mind in a different kind of way. It also helps to build community. One of the things that I did was I wrote down my notes from the books so that I would have the information to apply it wherever that needed to be, lesson plans, project proposals, and so forth. But another thing that I did was I took those notes and I recorded it, and I set them up in like a playlist on YouTube, just so that I would have them as a accountability task for myself. But what I also noticed is that, yeah, it is on YouTube. I didn't expect people to really watch them. It was kind of like, we'll see what happens. But people started watching them. And I'm saying that to say that I am going to also include a list to that first series, those 8 books. I'm going to have that playlist down in the description so that you can take a look. And yeah, do it. Read. Be gracious with yourself. Make it a part of your routine and watch how your life changes. Take care.